Do you mind if I ask about that? Because like I'm only somebody who watches GDQ. Like I don't know anything about like how the event is exactly structured. And you've already kind of talked about it before, is like, you know, you have 2,500 people submitting games, or at least that's how many games are submitted.
Right.
And then you have all these separate committees that sort of like filter them all by genre. And then so like when you're looking at a game, like what exactly are you like looking for? And then when you see something that you like, what is like the process to getting it into the event, or like what's all the gears working there?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about like. So I want to be very clear, like what I'm saying. This is my experience personally. Like I don't speak for GDQ. I don't speak for the rest of the games committee.
Speaks for the whole games committee. He is actually the whole games committee. He runs the whole any grievances.
I always have to remind people, especially when they come up to me with like questions or feedback or whatever. I'm like, there's 11 of us, dude. There's 11 of us. Anyway, yeah, like usually when I'm reviewing something, I am trying to look at it from like an outside viewer. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking for like, does this game have stuff that I personally find interesting, that I think other people will find interesting, that I think like will benefit our event? Like, does this game make our event better by including it in or anything like that? Like, what's the runners' energy like? What's their commentary like? You know, does for me, like a thing that does the game like pass the eye test, in that like it looks difficult, or it looks interesting, or like it looks like the runner is good at it, or something like that. You know, these are all like various criteria that I personally will like weigh. When it comes to like how you present that to the rest of the committee, you know, we call it I forget if this was a term before I got on committee. I'm not sure if this is like a normal term, but we'll like stump for certain things. We call it stumping for it. Like, do you have any stumps, basically? Okay. So yeah, I mean, like the meetings are very like round table. What does that mean? Basically, it's just like you're gonna basically like stand up and argue for it. You're gonna like kind of like when I went and called out like when I was describing to y'all why like Halo Reach is a cool run. You know what I mean? Like that's something I would do to like the rest of committee if I was like, oh, this run's really cool,
so
because
like kind of like an elevator pitch almost, like for the game.
Basically.
Okay.
Basically. Yeah. I would say that's a very like brief description of kind of like what I'm looking for and how I would go about like presenting it to others. Like I'll argue for its merits and why I think it's good, or you know, I'll point out to like, oh, if you skip to like 20 minutes into the video, like the guy does like an out of bounds glitch that's really cool, or something like that, you know. So yeah, that's generally speaking like how the process would work in very general terms on my end.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And also, by the way, I just want to say as well, if y'all ever have, just in a general sense, I love talking about my work and the stuff that we do. It's kind of been like a goal of mine, I feel like, for the last 5 years, to make the process less of like a black box.
Yeah.
So especially to anybody that's listening to this or whatever, like I'm always happy to talk shop about this stuff. I think the work is really cool.
I guess if I can like pick your brain real quick about a really like in kind of the weeds detail, because you were kind of talking about like the different subcommittees and by genre. What happens when you have like for example, something I saw on the schedule that kind of comes to mind is Control, which again, very excited for that run, by the way. But which is going to be great. But like Control's in like a weird spot where it's kind of like, you know, third person shooter, but it's also kind of got these like horror aspects to it. So how does committee handle it when a game kind of hits multiple different like genres, or like?
I think generally speaking, yeah, there are definitely games that have multiple genres. Fortunately, we have like a lot of subcategories and subcommittees. Okay. Like Control gets sorted into 3D action. Basically, we have like a
Makes sense, yeah.
We have a few subcommittees that are just like kind of like catch-alls for stuff that we're not really sure where else to put it. Yeah, and also like we'll have like entire meetings where we're just like sorting the games basically, and we'll have other people to like ask if like, hey, where does this game go, or something like that. Also, speaking of the Control run, I'm really glad you shouted it out. I don't want this. Yeah, I don't want
PAX West. That was crazy.
Yeah, I don't want this podcast to end before we talk about Control. Yeah, so Ashley OBTW is literally Ashley 93 OBTW is basically what like the fucking green squeegee of Control. That's how I would. Yeah, literally. Just it's been really cool watching this game evolve as well, because back when I ran it at A20, it was like a glitch game basically. Yeah. You got out of bounds a lot. You basically just try to get out of bounds and go to the end level trigger. Now it's like full on a movement game. The run has evolved. and in so many wild ways. They figured out how to basically do almost kind of like a wave dash.
Oh, sick.
With the dash. Yeah, generally. Sweet. So there's a dash mechanic, and then after you dash, generally speaking, it completely halts all your momentum, and then you like move again. People figured out how to prevent that loss of movement speed. Okay. So they're able to dash and and then preserve that over multiple times through like kind of like this weird like wave dash bunny hopping sort of movement. Anyway, it's really cool. Wow. I love how much the run has evolved and how far Ashley in particular has just been pushing this.
Yeah.
For a really long time.
Fucked up at that game.
Fucked up at that game is a great way to describe that. Yeah.
This is also the first time that Shieldy is going to be in a marathon too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes. The other thing about Control is we got the best fucking strat names in that game.
It's
true.
Yeah.
Shieldy,
sort of
McSorry,
like
or like Air Canada is what we would call it.
Air Canada is crazy.
Air Canada, Jesus.